Hunting, Cleaning, and Cooking Swan, William Hovey Smith, 2010. There are about 60,000 swan that winter annually near Lake Mattamuskeet, North Carolina. There are also smaller populations in Maryland and Virginia. Here are a couple on Lake Mattamuskeet. These are big, magnificent fowl, the largest of a North American fowl, and are well worth hunting. This is a flight in the air. As you see, they are huge. You'll get a better feel of that in a little bit. Here is one from a previous hunt with my friend Bill Krantz and guide Joey Simmons. Simmons is a fourth-generation guide. If you use a guide on Lake Mattamuskeet, here is another guide and another swan. Your kill is just about assured. It's pretty much a sure thing. They know where the swan are, they put out the decoys, and you can get them. This is yet a third that I shot on another year with another guide. So you can hunt fields, you can hunt water, but I wanted to freelance. So we went to the Lake Mattamuskeet, the National Wildlife Refuge, drug my boat up, and we were going to do it by ourselves, without a guide. Well, that was an interesting experience. We hunted 5 different areas in 4 days and finally got one. Here is a historic clubhouse, which is the old pump house of a failed agricultural project that was once pursued at the lake. The large tower is not a lighthouse, but rather a smokestack that has been converted to an observation platform. When I got there, the lake was frozen. The western half was completely frozen, and as you can see, this is ice on the edge of the lake and ice out on the lake as far as you can see. However, the eastern portion had some open water in it. And here are a few swan next to the causeway, and they're feeding quite happily right adjacent to the road. Although they might seem tame here, it's quite a different question when you hunt them. This is the first area I hunted, except I couldn't hunt here. I had to hunt about a mile away on a flooded impoundment. The first day I did not get drawn for a blind at the lake, so I hunted a public area at the Gull Rock Game area. Here, again, are swan, and these are located on some cypress trees sticking out that are visible from the causeway. Again, there's swan here, but trying to get them over your blind is a different question. This was our first setup at Lake Mattamuskeet. After the first unsuccessful hunt, we finally drew a blind location at Mattamuskeet, went out there, and guys the day before had spent hours breaking 2-inch ice, as you can see, when we put out our decoys. We were unsuccessful here. Not a shot at anything. So we moved out to the Outer Banks. This is the lighthouse at Bodie Island. And Bodie Island has public blinds that you may draw for. You have to be at the whalebone station at 5 o'clock. Well, actually, more like 4:30. And put in your bid for a blind. This is a swan decoy. These are not very common. So I use snow geese decoys. This is a gun I use. An original 1842 British musket. It's 75 caliber or 11 gauge, and I load Pyrex powder and heavy shot in a plastic cup. This is a very effective waterfowl load. Here we are at the blind at Bodie Island. You can see the gun. That is ice frozen in the bottom of the blind. I broke ice about 3/10 of a mile to get out to the blind in knee to thigh deep water. This was a hard trog to get out there. The box blind is not very distinguished. Here's my decoy set at Bodie Island. You can see the larger swan decoys out, well, actually snow geese decoys, as well as a few pintail decoys I put out closer in. In January, when I hunt, you commonly do get some pintails. Here are swan in the air, but not shootable for me. We got to get them in closer. It was about 11 o'clock before I started seeing anything. Finally, we had a pair coming in. It went whoop, 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 and I called, whoop, 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 whoop. They came and I shot, and as they were landing in the decoys, they stuck out that yard-long head and neck, and I took it with a musket. So here's my swan, my gun, the flag I used, as well as my shooting bag. And this is at the Bodie Island Refuge. So woof, we got our swan. Still had to get all this junk out of there, though. So it was a hard pull, breaking water again, all the way back to where we parked the truck. Woof. These tubs, as you see, a mortar mixing tub with some reinforcing is just the thing you need to carry your stuff and keep it dry. I had to put the decoy bag on my back and tow the sled with my gun and swan. And the flag and the pole is vital for maintaining your footage. Wow, I did it. Got my swan. Woof! So here's a heroic picture taken at the Wildlife Refuge on my way out with gun and swan, and, well, what would pass as civilian clothes? I hunt physically in waders. You really need to. Okay, back home with swan. Gonna pluck this bird. Big bird. If you're gonna cook a swan and have it tasted like anything, yeah, you need to pluck it. You can skin it, and that's expedient, and that's what the guides do sometimes down there, but plucked swan are far better. Here's a swan that's rough plucked. As you see, there are feathers on it yet, and these are removed by singeing, by burning paper and singeing the feathers to remove these. This is a vital step. You can see the swan feet and also the swan tag there also on the table. Here he is, and now he's about ready to freeze. Now I save the giblets, the liver, the gizzard, and the heart for making giblet gravy. This to me is a part of the swan cooking process. I also do a swan dressing. Now the recipes for these are in my books, Backyard Deer Hunting and Extreme Muzzleloading. So you can get the full details there. Here I'm cutting up some of the innards that I will also use in the recipe. Now, so we got the swan and we're ready to cook it. Here it is, salted, stuffed with celery, some onions, and you cook it in moisture. You add about a third of a cup of water at least to the bottom of a pan, and you tin it up in a big pan and you cover it entirely. And you cook it until the legs are tender enough to freely move. And there is swan done on a Christmas platter with southern cornbread dressing. Now the recipe for the dressing and all of this is somewhat elaborate, and these are contained in my books. So there we have it. Cooked swan on the Christmas dinner table. The swan I shot will be next year's Christmas dinner. Well, if you want more information, go to my books. They're available from Author House as well as Baker and Taylor, Amazon.com, and any other sources. And you can go to my blog for other information. Good hunting and good